What's going on, everybody? Dr. Thompson here with Exemplify Health Center, your Wellness Way affiliate right here in Yorkville, Illinois. Hope you guys had an awesome Labor Day weekend. I know I did. I spent all day Sunday at Universal Studios in Orlando. I took my two sons there to enjoy some father-son bonding time, and I know I went live on Sunday morning. We walked almost 10 miles on that day. And we rode every single ride and roller coaster. I will tell you this. I was, by the end of it, I was so dizzy and nauseous. There's a reason why. I'll go over that on another live. Why you have a lot of motion sickness and nausea and fatigue. A lot of it has to do with what happens in the upper part of the neck, and I have not been the same since I was in a car accident about a year and a half ago. That's partially my fault, though. All right. So guys, hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm gonna answer a question, and in fact, I had someone ask me this today. They are suffering with COVID, and they've had a hard time getting over the virus. Now, just so you guys know that, do I think that COVID is real? 100% absolutely. Do I think that it's more virulent than anything else? I don't think it's more virulent than the flu, because remember, the flu can knock you on your behind. As long as you have a low immune response. The people that it's affecting the most are people who, innate immune system is insufficient, the adaptive immune system having a hard time catching up. And so these are the things that these are the types of people that this is actually affecting, obviously, the most. So she's been suffering with it for about 3 weeks, and she asked this. She said, "I just don't have my energy back. Is something wrong?" And I said, "Nope. Nothing's wrong. Your energy will not come back until you have handled the infection appropriately." And I'm going to show that to you why. So the title of today is Why Am I So Fatigued? Now, does this have to do when you have, if you've had COVID? Because just remember, guys, there are some people that it's 2 to 3 days and they're back to normal. Some people 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, and it's very persistent, and they don't have their energy during that time. And I'm going to show you why, and hopefully this makes a lot of sense. So this also will make sense in people who say, "I suffer from chronic fatigue." Why is that? And I'm going to show you why this one hormone, why it can cause so much fatigue, and actually the balance between these two different hormones. So this is very, very important for you guys. So if you are suffering from fatigue, make sure that you listen. If you know someone who is suffering from fatigue, actually, while having an infection, I'm going to explain to you why. Because there's a lot of people today that suffer from fatigue. In fact, excuse me, I had a consult with a woman today, and you could just tell. I looked at this one hormone, and I said, well, it looks like this. It looks like you might have enough of this hormone to help you make it through the day, but if I ask you to do a hard, intense workout, chances are your body's going to say, nope, nuh-uh, don't want to do it. Or if you try to grunt through it, you'd have a very, very hard time being able to recover from that afterwards, okay? So this is why, a lot of people, the idea of them being able to do a hard, intense workout, they say, nope, ain't going to happen. And so I'm going to explain to you why. So why am I so fatigued, particularly why I'm sick, all right? And this doesn't have to be necessarily COVID. This can be while you are battling any kind of viral or any kind of bacterial infection. And so hopefully, guys, I want you guys to understand that the body doesn't mess up. The body never, ever makes mistake. It's not messing up. What it is trying to do is doing the best thing for you to give yourself the best chance for you to be able to heal. All right? So why am I so fatigued, guys? Here's the reason why, and this won't be a long video, so make sure that you share it. I understand sometimes I get a little bit long-winded, but I'm going to try to make this one short. So guys, what it comes down to is the hormone cortisol, okay? So cortisol is a stress hormone, and it is produced by your adrenal glands. And depending on what the body needs, it can stay as cortisol, or it can be converted within the tissue, particularly the kidneys and the liver, into cortisone, okay? Now, if you tend to have more cortisol, and by the way, I'm going to show you a test that you can measure, especially the balance between cortisol and cortisone. Now, just remember this, guys, is it works like a scale, which means if you're very cortisol dominant, you are going to be very light on cortisone, because really what they are is cortisol, and it has the ability to be able to convert. So you can't be high on both. You can't be low on both. It's either going to be one or the other. Now, let's say this, is that cortisol is going to be very dominant when you are under stress, okay? So you see that stress right there. Now, chemical, mental, physical type of stress is initially, this can be very, very dominant. So I want you to think of, what happens when a bear is chasing you, okay? So what happens when a bear is chasing you? You're going to have a stress response. Initially, it's going to be what's known as adrenaline. That's produced in the very inside of the adrenal glands. It's a very quick neurological response. That's when you get the adrenaline dump and the heart starts beating right, respiration start going up, eyes start to dilate. But the long-term hormone response is cortisol, okay? And really what the purpose of cortisol is it's there to mobilize sugar. It's there to mobilize energy, to give you the energy long-term to be able to handle the specific stressor. So cortisol is going to be very dominant, guys, when you are under stress. And yes, mental stress is an absolute killer, because so many people today are under mental stress, okay? So you have the stress response. Here comes the bear. You go into fight or flight. It's very anti-inflammatory, which means it's going to suppress an immune system response. It's going to mobilize your blood sugars. But guys, this is why, have a bear chase you and try to take a nap right afterwards, and you're like, no, this is not going to happen. But the other thing too is what you'll notice is that the digestion system is going to completely shut down. So just think of this cortisol response as a fight or flight response. Really awesome when a bear is chasing you. Really terrible when it doesn't go away. This is also why, if you've ever noticed that when you're, under stress, you may actually notice that you don't actually feel as much pain. So bear is chasing you, and let's say while you're running away, you twist your ankle on a rock and do all kinds of tissue damage, but man, you just keep running and running and running, and then, an hour later you look down and you have a grade 3 ankle sprain and your ankle's just barely hanging on. You're like, how on earth did I not feel that? Well, it's there because you don't need an inflammatory response when you are in fight or flight. You need a bunch of blood, you need your blood sugars to go up. You don't need to sleep at that point. You don't need to digest. And so it's really good when this is an acute reaction. The problem is that so many people have this as, some kind of chronic response. And so this is why so many people you can have type 2 diabetes, just be chronically stressed. This is why people have problems being able to fall asleep, being able to stay asleep. And this is why so many people have so many digestive issues as well, particularly when it comes to stomach acid production. So I had another consultation with a girl. She had a massive, massive physical stressor from a car accident, severe whiplash. And she said, after that whiplash, my whole digestive system absolutely tanked, because that trauma caused a high cortisol response, and it absolutely decimated her digestive system so bad that, now there's a chronic yeast issues that are going on, candida issues. Now the candida issues are actually causing problems with endometriosis. So you just see how, guys, everything starts to work together. So with these two hormones, if you're very cortisol dominant, you're going to be very light on this cortisol or cortisone, okay? Now remember, they're not necessarily two hormones. Cortisol has the ability to be converted into cortisone, okay? Cortisone, and that happens liver, kidneys, it happens at the tissue level, okay? So think of this. Now, you actually do a test and you measure these things and you look at the balance between the two. Well, what happens? What will cause cortisol to be less? What will cause that cortisone to increase? Because remember, cortisone is very immunostimulatory, okay? It will be very dominant when you have to handle something like an infection, okay? So when you have to handle something when it comes as an infection, is that will get converted over into cortisone. Cortisol will be very light. So how do you feel if you have very low cortisol? Well, you're going to feel very tired. You're going to have no energy. You're going to have joint pain. You're going to have poor recovery. So this is why when you see someone who's very cortisone dominant, they the issue at hand is they're really handling something in their immune system, okay? They are really trying to handle something within that immune system, and there's usually some kind of infection that's going on. So when I see someone is very heavy on cortisone, very light on cortisol, I know that they're going to have very poor energy. They're going to be fatigued. They're going to be tired all the time. And you know that immune system is going to work, and they don't need that anti-inflammatory effect of cortisol. They need that cortisone. And so this is why their body, they're dealing with that at that point. And this is why they don't have much energy, and they're tired, and they feel like they got to sleep all the time. Their joints hurt. If you ask them to do, some kind of very intense workout, man, it just absolutely decimates them for 3 to 4 days. They don't have the ability to be able to recover. So I want you to think of something. If you had right now a COVID infection, the flu, any kind of viral infection, any kind of bacterial infection, think about how you feel, okay? Think about how you feel. Do you feel tired? Do you have no energy? Do your joints hurt? Do you have the ability to go run a 5K? And of course not. And so that means that your body is trying to handle the infection, and it is, I'm seeing if I'm trying to get it right here, and it means that you're going to have very low cortisol output. It's going to get converted into this cortisone. And that cortisol, this is why people who have very low cortisol, that is why, this is why it takes 19 alarms in order to be able to wake them up. So if you are always feeling tired, always feeling fatigued, the biggest thing that you need to realize is maybe your immune system is really trying to handle something. And this is where you can go into having specific gut infections. This is where you can go into, having some kind of chronic viral infection that's going on. This is where you have to start looking into the immune system, because guys, the biggest thing that affects people the most is going to be some kind of stress or something that is affecting the immune system big time. So getting back to the woman that asked me, she said, man, it's been 3 weeks and I still don't have any energy. When am I going to get my energy back? And I said, when your body has properly handled the infection, that's when you will get it back. And that's when these things will then balance back out between the balance between cortisone and the balance between cortisol, okay? So this is why, guys, you don't feel very good when you have an infection. So you have to be able to handle that infection. Just remember, it's really your body saying, right now you need to go into energy conservation. We need to handle as much, divert as much energy into the immune system. You don't need to be going out and about. So what we need to do is we need to handle, sleep. And just remember this, why are you so tired? Your body heals. The immune system picks up when you are sleeping. So this is why, guys, you go to sleep and you wake up and you're like, man, I'm stiff, I'm sore. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Well, guess what? Or I'm getting sinus and allergy issues. That was your immune system going to work at night. And so your body says, I'm going to put you to sleep, I'm going to make you tired so that immune system can start going to work. So the body's not messing up. The body's not making a mistake. When will you get your energy back after an infection? When the immune system has handled the infection appropriately. Give me a thumbs up, guys, if that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up again if that makes sense, and please share this, especially with people who are like, oh my goodness, my energy has been crushed. Now, a lot of times people say, well, I have adrenal fatigue, or, and guys, fatigue is real, but get into the whole idea that I've absolutely just tanked my adrenals. Really, I would say it doesn't happen as often as people say that it is. If your adrenals are tanked, then usually what I'm seeing is I'm seeing that you have had some kind of really long-term stressor, especially when it comes to the immune system. So usually you're thinking, man, that immune system right now is getting hammered, and this is why the body has responded with decreased cortisol and increased cortisone. And this is what's amazing is, guys, you can test these things. You can test the immune system. We just ran our immune system panel, which is like CD4, CD8 cells, CD19 cells, which are basically your B lymphocytes, and natural killer cells, and looking at all the different types of immune cells. We just ran it on a person who had a reactivation of what's known as the Epstein-Barr virus. And my goodness, I could see why he had a reactivation of this virus, is because his immune system was just absolutely tanked. And any kind of virus, that's in your body, whether it comes from the chickenpox like shingles, whether it comes from, Epstein-Barr, which is mononucleosis, those things persist in the body. And the only time that these things will get reactivated is if you let the immune system start to tank. There's a lot of different reasons why that can happen. Now, this person, basically a sugar addict, also had COVID, and that really just tanked him out. And you could see he had a reactivation of some other issues that are going on. But you can see immune system is really, really having a bad day. So he's got to support his immune system and not do anything that's going to be killing off the immune system cells. Okay, so when you look at this, this is why. Now, there's so many different tests that actually will leave clues when it comes to your immune system. I know that I've done a video in the past about, listen, here's some tests that will give you an understanding of where your immune system at. Guys, even a food allergy test will show basically the health of your immune system, because what's interesting is I had a patient who is taking corticosteroids, okay? So corticosteroids, very anti-inflammatory. And I said, hey, might be a good idea. I would suggest you going off of the corticosteroids for about 4 weeks in order to get an accurate food allergy test. That's what's interesting. Because you're taking corticosteroids, it will just suppress the immune response and you won't have a whole heck of a lot of food allergies. So even food allergy testing will give you clues. People who've had chemotherapy have a very low amount of food allergies because their immune system has been decimated. B lymphocytes have been decimated. Same thing when it comes to people on immunosuppressants, corticosteroids. Even asthma medication can do the same as well. So, a food allergy test can do it. A stool test actually will peek into the immune system. There's so many different tests. An actual immune panel can look into the immune system. Even checking your thyroid can look into the immune system as well. So really, guys, everything, the immune system is so important, and we're not talking about it. We're not talking about how to support it, how to make sure that it's firing on all cylinders. And guys, even the Dutch test, the dried urine total and comprehensive hormone panel, can look into what's happening into the immune system. And you can see that when you're doing it, because not only does it measure hormones, but it's also measuring, the balance between your cortisol and your cortisone, okay? So when you look at this person, and you can see that they're predominantly more cortisone metabolites, well, their body is trying to handle something with the immune system. So you can see, even just looking at this person, their immune system is really trying to handle something. In this specific person, what their immune system was really trying to handle was just massive candida, okay? Which is basically, a yeast overgrowth happening in the gastrointestinal system. So the more that their body has to handle parasites, has to handle infections and things like that, you're going to see them be more cortisone dominant. What's interesting about looking at that is that you can even say, yep, their immune system is really, really trying to handle something right now. And if they're more cortisone dominant, you can guarantee that when you look at their total cortisol output or metabolized cortisol, it will be very low, okay? It's going to be very low because it's getting converted at the tissue level into cortisone. So hopefully, guys, that makes a lot of sense. There's so many different tests that you could do to look into your immune system. But I would say this one by far and away is the best as far as looking at the stress response that's taking place inside of your body. So again, why do I have no energy? When I have some kind of, I'm sick, or when I have some kind of, infection, it's because that cortisol getting converted into cortisone, and low cortisol is going to leave you very tired, have no energy, joint pain. You're going to see that immune system start to pick up, and that's the result of, all those symptoms are a result of that immune system starting to pick up as well. So remember, these two hormones, they're not both going to be high, they're not both going to be low. They're balanced between the two, and the body is always balancing depending on what your body needs. So guys, if this makes sense, give me a thumbs up and make sure that you share this, especially someone who has been suffering with that infection. Hopefully that will give them some hope that the body is not messing up. Remember, guys, the body never ever makes a mistake. It is always trying to survive. It's always trying to adapt. It doesn't need any help, but what it does need is it needs for you not to interfere with it as well. And this is what we haven't been talking about, rather than, hey, we just need to try to avoid germs. I say you can never ever avoid the germs. You have to live with them, which means that a healthy lifestyle and making sure you're getting sunlight, getting the right food, keeping the stress levels low, taking care of the spine, taking care of the nerve system, and getting adequate levels. Because guys, adequacy and sufficiency is enough for you to be able to survive anything, okay? Anything as far as a pathology, not a gunshot wound in the head, okay? All right, guys. So guys, again, please make sure you share this video, and if I'm inspired, I'll come back and share some more stuff with you a little bit later on in the week. But I may come back on Saturday and share some more information. If you have any specific topic that you would like to hear about, or you have a question, just drop it in the comments below. But guys, the Yorkville area coming up Saturday, September 25th, Make Immune System Strong Again. That is the next talk that we're going to be doing, is an in-person event on Saturday. It's going to be a 2-hour long event. And the reason why, guys, is we're going to talk about, specifically how to feed the immune system, what causes the immune system to become depressed, what you can do in order to help not boost your immune system, but provide sufficiency to it. And we're also going to talk about some of the biggest topics that are taking place right now, such as is the COV, et cetera, immunotherapy. Is it superior than natural immunity? We'll answer that question. And we'll also, show you how you can properly test the immune system, but also to how you get a proper antibody test if you have had, whether you've had a natural infection or whether you've had an artificial stimulation, is that you can actually test that. But we are seeing, that by far and away, the people with natural infections are having the most robust antibody response to the infection. Okay, so guys, Saturday, September 25th, 10 o'clock to noon, if you are in the area, please just, cancel everything on your schedule. I know that I'm doing that too. I'm going to be missing some really important things. But in this environment, in this charged environment, it's really important that you guys have an answer for knowing why you believe what you believe, but also just be inspired to saying, hey, it is really in your hands as far as having a sufficient immune system. I always tell people, there's good news. You can heal yourself. There's also bad news. You have to heal yourself. And some people don't want to hear that because it's going to require work and it's going to require responsibility on their part. And that's what we are suffering terribly in the United States, is taking full responsibility for our decisions, taking full responsibility for our actions, and knowing bad behavior is going to lead to a bad outcome. And people just want to blame everyone else on the strength of their immune system. It's 100% up to you. Guys, make sure that you get registered for that. I will drop the link in the description of this video right after I finish up. And I hope to see all of you guys there. We're about 2/3 of the way filled up, and we're still about 2 weeks from hosting the event. So guys, thank you again for joining me. And I always appreciate those that are watching and spending a little bit of time with me and getting to talk to you. And hopefully you guys always learn a lot. All right, guys, be well. I hope you have a great Tuesday night, and we'll talk to you very soon.